Hi, Sarah here again with vlog number 4, and in this vlog what I wanted to do was talk to you about design. I do get quite a lot of questions about it, and we have some videos up on YouTube going through some design processes and get lots of questions about it. So I thought I would show you the process that I use myself to get a finished embroidery. So this is going to be from the very beginning to the very end. It's going to be the entire process. Now there's lots of ways of tackling a design, and it depends on so many variables, so I'm just going to show you the process that I use for this particular design, and if you enjoy this and you like this, I can certainly do some more on some different designs later. So I'm going to take you step by step through how I do a design from start to finish. Now, the most important thing I think I've learned throughout the years is planning. I'm definitely a planner. I have seen some people who can produce beautiful embroideries, and it's quite organic. They make it up as they go along is the only way I can describe it. I'm sure there's a different process going on in their head, but I have to plan, and I just think for me working it all out beforehand and really thinking about what I want to do makes a massive difference at the end. So I'm a planner, so this is how I plan my embroideries. Now I would say there are definitely stages, and if you follow the stages it's actually quite methodical, and it's not a mystery. It's not the thing that you can either do or you can't. You can learn how to do this process, and I would say that the number one most important thing is to give yourself some parameters. So give yourself a brief. Basically, the more parameters you give yourself, the easier it is to design. If I just say, oh, design anything you want, it can take as long as you want, it can be on anything you want, any size you want, it's too many things to think about. So make yourself some parameters, give yourself some guidelines. So you might want to consider what you want to make it for. Are you going to wear it? Is it a gift for somebody? Are you experimenting with something? Is the cost important? You might be on a budget. You might want to consider how long it takes as well. Bearing in mind, it always takes longer than you think it's going to take, always, without fail. So do think about that. It is important, I believe, to finish things. There's an important thing to be learnt, to actually finish it. It may not be perfect, it may not be your absolute, ideal finish or level of expertise, but I think you learn from finishing. So finish it, and whatever you've learnt from that piece, you take that onto the next one and you improve with the next one. I think that process is important. You feel like you've achieved something. You don't get fed up of it. I've seen that many times, that something's been going so long that you just, oh, I don't want to look at this thing anymore. So get it done, get it finished, go, yay, look what I did, this is amazing. This I could do better, and I'll do that better on the next one. So for this video I have given myself a brief, the main one being that it's for this video, but I wrote a few notes down, so I'll just read what I've written. So my brief is a design piece inspired by my trip to India, to use as a free design on the website and to make this vlog from. So I've got a few things there to think about. The main one being making it for this vlog. So I can't do a year's project. Well, I can, but I'm not going to at this stage. So it needs to be quite small so that I can show you the whole process, because it does take a long time from start to finish. There's probably as much in the design stage part as there is in the actual stitching part. So I need to keep it quite realistic, is the word I suppose I'm looking for. I also want to create some designs to put for free on the website, so they need to be something that will appeal to a larger range of people and skills and styles as possible. So I'm not going to make them too intricate, I don't think. Well, we'll see what happens. What else do I need to think about? Oh yeah, okay, I'm going to film me stitching it as well, so I want ideally something that takes me about a day. I'd love to spend longer stitching it, but I have to pay the bills as well, so I have lots of other work to do, so I'm going to keep that down to a day. I want to be able to stitch the whole thing within that day. I've also got to make a video that will show all the processes. So I have a slightly different thing to think about. I'm not just making something for me or for a present. I need to be able to show you how I'm doing it. So that will be in the back of my mind as well, is can I fit this easily on the screen without moving it? Can you see what I'm doing? I don't want to do anything too tiny and detailed because you need to be able to see it. So that will be in the back of my mind as I go through the process. So I know what I'm making it for. I know roughly how long I have to do it. I also know that I want to use India as my inspiration because I've just done this amazing trip, this Maharani's tour around Jaipur, and I really like to do some work based on that. So I know that India is going to be my theme. And something that struck me about India is that we don't have here, and I've been a few times to India, and every time I go there this is the thing I get excited about, is the elephants. I love animals anyway, and elephants, you just don't see them wandering down the high street in England, so it is very exciting to go somewhere where they are wandering down the high street. And so I know that elephants are going to be my theme. There's so many things I could do from India that choosing something can be quite difficult. I'm actually going to make something else to cover that subject because it's massive. How do you find your inspiration and how do you choose it when there's so much to do, or you might be stuck and not have any ideas? So I'm going to make another video on that, but for this one I know that I'm going to focus around the elephants because they always make such a great impression on me, and I think they're going to make fabulous embroidery as well. So I already kind of know what my theme is, and I'm going to do it in gold work. Now you can either design for a technique, so I know I want to do gold work, I'm going to make a design for gold work, or I can make a design and then think what technique would suit this the best. But I know I'm going to do gold work. We've just done this Maharani's tour. Gold work seems opulent and sparkly and blingy, and it just seems really appropriate, so I know my technique as well. So when I work, I like to work from source material. You can't magic a design up out of thin air. I can't magic a design up out of thin air. I need something to work from. We've just done this tour, so I've got lots of memories in my head, but then when I think, oh, actually I want to look at an elephant, what's an elephant look like? And if I sat down to draw an elephant, it probably wouldn't look like an elephant. So I've collected my source material together. You saw me doing that, so I'm just going to run through what I've got. I've got some photographs that I took, and I actually had them printed off. It's quite nice to have something in your hand to look at. Screens are great, and I will use that for my drawing, but it's nice to have some sort of images as well. And I like my own images. An elephant's an elephant, you could say, but there's something I took and I've seen it that way because I've taken the picture that way. So it's very personal to me. It's my image, so there's absolutely no copyright issues, which is very important, not to breach anybody's copyright if you're using any images for your work. So by taking my own, I know that that's not going to be a problem at all. So I've got my elephant pictures, got some books off my shelf. I bought these postcards when we were out there, so there's some good elephant images in there. I got a book that I already had on Rajasthan. This is a lovely book actually, and it's got a section on how other artists have seen Rajasthan, so lots of history about Rajasthan, but how other artists have viewed it as well. And it's always interesting to look and see how other people see a place compared to how you see it. So I've got a book for some reference too. I just want to show you this because a friend gave this to me and it's absolutely beautiful. Some painting, some elephants there. So I'm not going to copy this, but it's there in the background, just to give me some ideas about where I might go with my elephant design. So I'm going to leave that up there as well. I probably won't end up using much of this material, really. I'm only going to make one, maybe two designs. I might do a simple one and a more complex one, so you've got the choice. We'll see how that works out. So I probably won't use most of this, but just by immersing myself in it and looking at it, I'm getting a really good understanding of my subject and how to approach it, and give me lots of different ideas. So when I'm immersing myself in my subject, I like to draw. Now I know that word will spread fear into some people. You don't have to be able to draw to design, but it makes a huge difference if you can. And I actually spent a couple of years just drawing every day. I got quite a cheap book, and I just thought, I'm going to do something every day. It doesn't matter if it's rubbish or good. I'll just turn the page over, next day do another one, turn the page over, next day do another one. And in a year and a half my drawing improved tenfold. I can't even begin to explain how successful that was in just improving my observation skills, and when I saw something I wanted, I'm able to actually convey it on the paper. So that's again a big subject, and I hope I can cover that on its own as well in a different video, but this is the method that I use, so I will be doing some drawing. You can trace if you want to. Tracing images is fine. Just as I said before, be careful about copyright, that you're not just copying somebody else's design and doing it for yourself. Try and use the images to make a new design with, rather than just copying somebody else's. Okay, so I'm going to do some drawing. I've got my sketchbook, sketching pencils on the front, and I've got a few pens and pencils. I've got some paints as well. I might get the paints out. It's quite nice to put a bit of colour on. Even though I'm doing gold work, there's still lots of tonal variations in gold work in different colours, so I might get the paints out, and I'm going to do some drawing of some elephants. So let's go and do that now, and then I'll come back and show you what the next stage is. Okay, so I've been drawing my elephants for a while. I got quite carried away with those. So I'll just show you what I've done. So I did just some initial sketches. I put water on the other side so it's gone all a bit wrinkly, but just some initial sketches just to get the sort of shape of them. Very heavy lumbering animals, so you don't want to make them too dainty. So some quick sketches there, and then had a go at putting a bit of tone on ones to see sort of where the darks and lights sit. That might come in later, it might not. If I was silk shading it, that bit would be very important. On gold work, but it might inform where I put my gold. So I've just had a little study there, had to go a little study there just to see where the darks and lights are. And then I've just started doing some slightly more intricate drawings. Now I've got a sort of understanding of the shape of him, so sort of refining it down a little bit and making sure I understand the details a little bit more. So each stage I'm getting less sort of scribbly and gestural, I suppose is the word, and finding those details a little bit more. So starting to come down now with the pencil and find the little details in there. Can you see that? So I filled up that page, and then while that other page was drying, I jumped into this book and I did these ones. They make wonderful shapes, elephants, beautiful curvy, good solid shape to draw. So this is what I've done here, the whole page of them. So now I'm sort of looking at him from different angles, got him from the front, sort of profile, half profile view here. The front ones are really interesting. I like the front ones, but I was kind of thinking now about stitching him, and we've probably got more options if we did him from the side, because we can put some elephant trappings on and tassels and all sorts of fancy stuff. So I thought that might be easy from the side. So I like the side view. This is a little bit just standing there, which the elephant I drew it off was, but I want to make it a bit more dynamic for a design. So I kind of moved his legs a little bit here, as if he's sort of trotting along. So I think I'm going to go with something like this now for an embroidery. So you can see how I'm thinking about the embroidery when I choose the one I want to do. I like the front, but I think for an embroidery a side view would be better. So I'm going to take this now and work this one up a little bit more. So I've got some tracing paper. I don't get anywhere without tracing paper. So I'm going to start with the rough shape that I've drawn in my sketchbook. I'm going to copy that onto a fresh page, and then I'm going to start to work him up and try and get a nice final finished design. What you want to be able to do in the next stage is to have a really clearly defined drawing to work from. If you don't do that at this stage, the embroidery will not save it, basically. So get this right now and the embroidery will be really good, will have a chance of being really good. And do those stages. So each stage will affect the next stage, so make sure you get these initial stages really good. So we want a nice clean crisp outline drawing. So I'm going to go and trace him now, and we'll see how we get on. So I finished drawing him out. This is what he looks like. So I traced my sketch from the book, and then I just sort of refined it when I traced it, and then a little bit more when I copied it onto the paper. So each time it's got a little bit more accurate, and then I rubbed anything else that wasn't quite right and changed that till I got something I was happy with. And I've just got an outline drawing of him. I'm going to put some detail in a minute, but you'll notice what I've done is I've drawn him twice. So I like to have a nice clean clear outline drawing and just leave it like that, because I'm going to put this up on the website so you can have a go at stitching him. I will need an outline design to give you. If I start scribbling on this and doing ideas on this, then I've got a nice stitch plan, but I don't have a nice clean clear outline. So here's my outline. I'm going to leave him, and then I'm going to have a scribble on this one at the bottom and work out some stitching ideas. Now, I know I am designing for gold work. I've done a lot of gold work, so I know what I'm working with. I would suggest you design for a technique that you know quite well, so you know what you can do with it, and you know how to create the design that you have in your head. So gold work is quite a stylized design. If I was silk shading this, I probably wouldn't have drawn him quite so cartoon-like. You'd be much more realistic. But gold work's stylized, so he's not photographic, so we can have a little bit of fun with him. So I'm going to draw some patterns and some shapes on him with gold work in my mind, because I know what the techniques I can use are, and I'll show you what I come up with. So I've drawn a few ideas on my elephant. Here we are. Just some quite simple shapes really, something around his ankles, elephant trappings over his body here, and something on his head with a little tassel, lots of tassels. I like doing tassels. So not too much detail really. I'd quite like the materials to suggest some things of their own. I'm pretty sure there'll be some spangles on there because I love spangles. So I've drawn in a few kind of round shapes where I think they might go. We can do some couching here. Not sure about the middle. I think probably a nice big shisha mirror in the middle, but I'm going to have a root through my materials and see what I've got rather than draw it in now. So I've got the rough plan. I might make a few notes, and then I think we might be ready to go and find some materials. So to help me choose my materials, I've put a little bit more detail in my design. So I know that I want shisha mirror in it, so I've drawn the shisha mirror in the middle here. Spangles as well, I've mentioned already, so they go around his ankles and some coming off his covering here. A little bit more detail in the headdress as well, which will help me choose what techniques that I'm going to use. I've also done myself a colour drawing. It's not a perfect colour drawing, it's just to get an idea of the balance of the colours. So I want to do it on a white background, and I want to use gold. I want him to be mainly gold, and just a couple of colours just to bring out all of those details. I don't want to go too mad with how many colours I put in there. So I've just got a nice navy blue for the fine detail, some nice fuchsia pink for his trappings, for his headdress and his covering here, and the gold detail as well, a little bit of gold detail in there. So this just gives me an idea of roughly how much gold there is to pink and to blue, just to make sure I've got that balanced. You'll notice as well that I put a bit of detail along the bottom. I felt he was floating a little bit in midair, and this scroll pattern was from a carving that we saw, so I thought I would ground him on that. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to stitch that yet, but that will come to me, I am sure. So I've also done myself a stitch plan as I look at my materials, and I've got some ideas obviously as I've been designing him, so I've just made some notes on here what I think I'm going to do, the mirror and where I'm going to put the gold. There's lots of notes around here that probably mean something to me and not much to everybody else, and some colour references, some techniques, some ideas. So what I will do is when I've finished him, I will make a proper one of these, a nice clear one that you can read, so you can see exactly what I've put in my finished piece. one thing I want to mention before we get stitching is to think about how you're going to finish something right at the beginning. So I've already had this idea in mind. You can see I've drawn a rough oval around it. It's no coincidence it's that size, because I happen to have a frame that size. So I've already thought about this, thought he fit nicely in an oval. What size frame do I have? Make sure I draw him so he fits inside that frame. So I'm thinking about that now, so that when he's finished I haven't got to try and find a frame that fits or squash him into something that's not quite right. So do have a little think about this at the beginning, because it will save you a lot of work at the end. So based on my colour plan and my stitch plan, these are the materials that I've pulled. So some of them we sell in the shop, some of them have come from my own stash, and I've just basically gathered together anything that I think I might use with the ideas that I've already had. So I'll run through what I've got. So I'm going to work on this cream fabric. So this is a new fabric that I'm trying out. This is a cotton twill. I've used linen twill before but never cotton, so I'm going to have a go with this. It's quite nice and dense, so I think that will be really nice to work on, and it's just an off-white colour, so just sort of an ivory colour, so I think that will be really nice. I'm going to try that out. I'm going to paint my elephant as well, I think, in gold, so I'm going to use this Vilene. I want him to stand out from the surface a little bit, so I thought if I actually apply him onto the fabric, then he will be raised up a little bit. So this is some Vilene, and I'm going to paint it with some gold fabric paint. And then for his headdress and his covering over his back, I've got some pink felt, so I can work on top of that. I'd like the whole thing to be quite encrusted, but just in case anything shows through or I want to leave some of it empty, I've got a pink felt underneath. I got some couching threads, various colours and types and sizes, some to stitch with, some to stitch over, so lots to choose from there in the three colours of my colour range, so the gold, the pink and the blue. Got some metal pearls in, again, all the three colours, different types. Got some wild checks and bright check and some smooths as well, so quite a nice choice of pearls. I've got some actual embroidery thread. This is from our Lana range, so I've just picked one colour of each. This will be nice if I want to add some stitching detail onto it at some point. And I pulled these metal pearls. Now these are really nice for outlines. They're a little bit stiffer, a bit more like wire, so I can go around the edge of something. I can do some chips inside that. So those are nice for outlines. These are nice for filling in. So I've got sort of all bases covered there. These are some couching threads, so we've got some 371, some twist and rococo, really nice mixed together, so I'm sure that will come in somewhere really nicely. These are my shisha mirrors, quite a few shisha mirrors, and I only actually need one, but I've got blue ones and gold ones, as it would happen, but then I've also got some very tiny ones and some different shapes, so I'm just going to play with those and see what looks nice on the design. So I've just pulled those out for some inspiration. I found these coins as well in our collection. I don't know if they'll come in handy or not, but you never know, so I shall keep those. And then of course my spangles as well, which I know I'll put in. Okay, so I think we are ready to stitch. We've got plenty of things to stitch with. We've got a design, we've got a plan. So I hope you've enjoyed this first part of the video, but you'll have to come back and see part 2 to see how I get on with stitching in.